Hi there everyone, Mr. Laviator here. Over the last week or so, Train Sim World 2 has dropped steam trains on us. So today we're going to drive one of them. Not this actual locomotive, but its sister over there in the shed. Yeah, a nice looking craft really. So imagine you are back in the 1950s. This particular kind of locomotive is called a Jubilee, or LMS Jubilee, which seemed to be a very nicely topical thing to do this weekend, since it is Queen Elizabeth's Jubilee right now. The Platinum Jubilee, meaning that she's been in the role of Queen for 70 years. These LMS Jubilees were created in 1935, which happened to correspond with Elizabeth's granddad's Silver Jubilee, 20 years. We've just gone through the inspection pit. We can imagine we're oiling all of the moving parts of the locomotive before it starts moving. This would normally take like half an hour or something. There's no real option to do that here, thank God. Otherwise, spending half an hour under the under the locomotive with an oiling can, plugging oil into the various bits, tightening nuts, loosening other nuts. Yeah. Anyhow, we have an automatic fireman. Now you can make that into not quite automatic, but it's not completely manual. We're going to make that a white lamp because we're heading backwards. I just realised we put it on the wrong side because we've got to be on this side. I'm going to chuck a red lamp on there because we're heading backwards, as I said. We'll be heading backwards until we hit the carriages that we're meant to pick up. Put it on this side here because it'll be easier to get once we're on the platform. Alrighty, let's jump on. Say hi to this wonderful locomotive. Now the first thing that you'll notice is there's 3 gauges on this locomotive. Up here we have the brakes vacuum. At the moment there is no vacuum, so the brakes are on. Fire's open. Up here we have the, I think that's the steam pressure, showing that we're just a little bit above red line, so obviously the high pressure valve is open, blasting all that steam up into the air. And I believe that's something to do with the pistons. Something you'll not notice in here is a speedo, because this train doesn't have one. So I'm going to be using that one, which I usually don't like to use. I usually like to use the one in the craft itself, but since there isn't one, we'll eventually have to learn how to drive a steam engine without a speedometer and just figure out how fast it's going by what it sounds like. I'm not to that level yet. I barely know how to drive the thing. I've been using this for a day, so yeah, we'll see how we go. Down here we have the reverser. We're going to roll that into the backwards position, full backwards, and we're going to open up the cylinder cocks. That lets steam out of the front just in case there's water trapped in there. Also means that the piston doesn't give you too much power as it goes. The issue with too much power is you get the wheel spin. Very easy to do that with the cylinder cocks closed. But once you start going, of course, you don't want to be letting all that steam escape, and you close them up once you get to about 5 miles an hour or so. Speedo's in miles per hour because it's the 1930s. Yeah, I'd love to do a cold and dark steam train startup, but, you know, that would take like 2 hours or more. So I can see why they don't have that yet, but I don't imagine they'll even put it in there at any point in time. But yeah, I'd probably do that if they let us. Start off with a random piece of burning embers on a shovel. stick it in there and wait for the fire. Anyway, we're starting off in a minute, so I'm going to whistle our movement. That's already going to release the brakes now. To release the brakes, you need the injector on. You've got the small injector on now, that'll stay on. And you have the large injector if you have the rest of the train. Coal and dark, yeah, that's cool. Speaking of coal, there's some coal back in there. And it is possible to refuel the steam train at some point. I don't think we'll be doing it in this particular scenario. I have to find the scenarios where they require it. But if we were able to do a full scenario return, we'd need to actually refuel the water at least in the tender, which involves some of that stuff there. There's our fire person, who seems to be a girl. Hello, how you doing? Fire girl. And we can move. The clock's closed. And as we roll back, I'm just going to move down here and have a look around the train. We are on the Impregnable. All of these locomotives have a name of some description, so this one's Impregnable. Nice to see all of that going. Starting into the wall here. Stick my head out slightly. Yes, you can indeed chat about whatever you want. If I address it, then that might be fine. I didn't mess F&O today, but I was a little bit sick, so I went to the doctor's this morning just to have a little bit of a check, make sure I wasn't getting the COVID. And I don't have the COVID, so just had the average basic Mark 1 cold, which is nice. Hi there, Philflight. Haven't been the best. Got a little bit of a cold over the week, end of the week. I think I burned a little bit too much of the midnight oil over the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks in a row of non-stop action. And it finally caught up with me. I've got a little bit of phlegm sitting on the bottom of my throat. Apparently we can go 30 mile an hour, so speed up a touch going backwards. On the top right hand you've got the next signal, basically because reading these signals is quite difficult at times. Kind of have to move around the cabin a bit, especially when you're going backwards. You can barely see the things. Okay, the next one is green. There it is, bang. Saw the green. Got no chance of stopping if you had it read there. Next position is 15. We're coming up to a platform. Gonna blow it. Say hello. Do you want to give our fire girl a name? Vote for the fire girl's name. Make some suggestions. I don't know what her name should be. Good to see OEJ back in the doing of things. So moving backwards into Liverpool Lime Street through this funky little tunnel here. Not actually tunnel, but you know, cutting. We're going downhill with about a 1% decline. Once we get down there, we connect to the train. These of course don't have the automatic couplers, you have to physically latch the coupler on. And then we rearrange our lights at the front and pull the train up that big hill. Hi there, Adam. Choline. It's like Coraline without the R. Gonna bring the brakes on, slow it up. Hi there, Edward. That's not the first night flight I've ever done. The first one I did was actually with Arjun back in 2014 odd in a Planta Archer. Then of course I did midnight 2021-22 where I flew to New Year's Eve fireworks over the top. Same aeroplane in fact. That's really fun. Oh, I've got a red signal coming up apparently. And it's not red anymore. All good. Gotta love that high pressure valve being open. Not really planned at the moment, but I do have a lot of stored footage of previous flights that I really need to do something with. Had some issues with my audio setup, so I've got to dump a lot of audio files onto my hard drive really. And apparently the system that I've been using isn't that great, so I've had to essentially manually play my audio files into my computer, which is a pain. Takes forever. Yep, we'll be doing milk run on Monday, probably the Airbus, or maybe the 146. Don't know. Have to learn to fly the 146 still. Might do it tonight. Alright, full application. So I'll start moving that reverser forwards. Get it to neutral anyway. Train coupled up. Jump back in. So what I'll do is open up the doors so people can get in. And apparently the shunter train is down the back, so I have to take that off. I've just got a little audio recorder thing because plugging it into the GoPros has proved to be exceptionally unreliable, which is a pity. Maybe I have to go out and buy myself a proper GoPro lead-in, because the microphones don't do much for you. It's all about the money. Okay, the shunter train has been disconnected, so Thomas won't come along back with us. Cool. Someone's just invited me to see Top Gun, so I've replied a distinctive yes to that. Is that a bird or someone's alarm? Can't tell. Probably an alarm. Sounds like an alarm. Alright, let's jump in. Close that up. We're attached to a train, so I'm going to open the large injector and throw a bunch of air into the tube. We're fully forward, so we've got the cocks open. Let's go. I've not yet seen Top Gun, but I'm apparently going to see it tomorrow. So, all good. I'm hearing lots of good things. Yes, cue the Thomas the Tank Engine music. At the end of the stream we might take Henry out, because someone's made a mod that turns this train, or this locomotive, into Henry. Because he looks close enough to the same thing. Henry's a Black 5, this is Jubilee, they're the same wheel arrangement, roughly the same size. Almost the same top dome as well. Except that is, of course, a little bit further forward on Henry. Henry's a Black 5. Okay, taking that back to about 50% on the forward, whatever it is. A little bit more regulator, about 50%. There's a light there if you want it, but I don't. Puffing away pretty good. Going up a hill. So far we haven't lost too much energy from the steam chest, so we're quite happy. We're still accelerating a little bit. Ah, good-o, seeing the old Top Gun. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good movie. Give me some FA-18 Hornet stuff. Should be good. Hi there, the sim is currently set in about 1950, give or take a couple of years. The train itself, they started manufacturing this kind of locomotive in 34, and I think they made about 200 of the things before 36. Obviously the Jubilee year of King George V was 35. Then they went through the war, and yeah, 1950 is about the era that we're looking at. I want to accelerate, but we want to preserve some of this steam pressure, so it's still showing about, it doesn't have numbers on that gauge, but on this gauge it does, 150. Where'd my fire person go? Come up to Edge Hill. Trying to accelerate a little bit more. Last time I got up here at about 20 mile an hour. I'm going 16 at the moment. We don't stop at Edge Hill because we're an express train. Going straight through to Crewe, I do believe. So I've got to stop at Runcorn coming up. The hill's flattened out a bit. We'll keep that acceleration going. Going to come back on the reverser, 40%. Want to accelerate, but we don't want to accelerate through 30 miles an hour until we hit the speed limit, which is about a mile away. Also need to keep an eye on this. We're down to about 125, 120. So I need to put a little bit more steam back into the steam chest. So to do that, I'm just going to back off on the throttle a little bit now that we're on a flat bit of land. Slowly let the speed up, but also let some of the steam pressure build back up again. Otherwise you run out of steam pressure and this train kind of stops. We don't want to do that. Might even come back to about 1/3 on the reverser. That'll help recover a bit more. We're in a 40 zone. Going back uphill again. As I said, if I was really intelligent, I'd be able to listen to the beat of the engine going and know how fast we're going. I'm not that intelligent. I can tell we're slowing down though, a little bit. Going to come back up a little bit forward on the reverser, about 40%. Cool, we're starting to run downhill again. So I'm going to pick up some speed on this bit. Going to go fully open regulator and about 1/3 of the reverser. controls down here that open up the, there they are, the dampers. The dampers are fully open. All good. Hi Nation, Nathan Jones, how you doing? Let's pop down to the bridge down here. Watch ourselves go past. Nice big long train, that one. Just pulling back on the reverser a bit, down to about a quarter. Basically there's less amount of puff behind each cylinder stroke with the reverser in that configuration, so it's pumping still very fast, but only a little bit of like it cuts off earlier. It lets the piston cycle back a little bit earlier in its cycle. So the faster you go, the less reverser you've got. Technically it means the less power you've got, but you're also not using as much steam for as long, so the piston has more time to cycle through, which when you're going 60 miles an hour is quite useful. It also lets you build up some steam pressure as well. Slip as we came around that bend, that's to be expected, and I'm going to back off on the throttle a little bit as well, the regulator, maybe a third for that. Another station, I do believe it is. $70 miles an hour. Trucking along. Going to pull that regulator down to about a quarter. We've achieved our max speed. Starting to come back up a hill again, opening that regulator a little, maybe about half. This thing's going faster than those underground trains that we use on the electric line. Back to the flat, down to about a third. And we're going downhill, so I might even consider shutting the regulator in a bit. go. Now when the regulator goes shut, they need to open the blower. Yep, blower's come up a little bit. That's a fireman thing to do. So the regulator goes shut and then the blower opens up a touch. There it goes. And you get the blower eventing basically all the steam that would have gone into the pistons going out the top there. Also make sure that the fire stays inside the firebox and doesn't come out the front. Doing pretty good for an old steam contraction that's powered by water. Water and that. The four elements of classic antiquity. Earth, wind, water and fire. That's what makes this train go. Earth in the metal. Water in the tank. Fire in the firebox. And wind, the steam, kind of, I suppose. Check the brakes on, coming down to a slower speed now. He's bouncing around quite a bit coming through the station. We're at 50. To open up that, it is. Yep, rolling coal. We're going back uphill again, but we've got a stop coming up in about 2 miles, so we do need to think about stopping in a little while. This train takes an entire mile to come to a stop from 55. Yeah. Using some of that steam chest to get up this hill. That's the level that we were at just before. Don't know what that is, but I'm guessing it's some kind of like iron smelter. Yeah, pretty much. It can go pretty good, but stopping, it'll get there. We're slowing down now, slowly. We're about a mile out from the station. Green signal. funky little bridge here. Over there is a raisable bridge. It's in its raised position. Oh, Joe, I think I've only got 2 stops before the end. So this is stop number 1, essentially. Got another one, and then we are at the end of the line. Our bit of the line, anyway. Cocks are open. Let's go fully forward on the reverser. Drag the back of the train through the platform. And we're on the platform. Here we go. Doors open. Not bad. Time to run corn. There's all that steam that we've been building up, getting released. And we'll head out. Brakes off. Once the brakes get to 20, then we can start moving. Let's do a wheel spin. Let's do another one just to look at it. Now that we have some speed, cocks are off. Miles an hour, we'll open her up. There's only that one stop, so yeah. That one and then Crewe, and then we have to change trains because that's the end of our bit of a line. The train itself will continue on, but we can't drive it. Green light. About 50%, I reckon. Close the injector, save a bit of steam. And I've got the small injector still open so we can make sure the brakes are still off. There's the sander if you wanted to chuck some sand on the rails to get a bit more grip. Stop spinning the wheels. Not really much of an issue right now since we're going 20 mile an hour. Hope this hill kind of plateaus out in a bit. Forward to get a bit more power. There we go, 20 mile an hour. Using a bit more steam than we're making. I think the hill's a little bit of plateau at the moment. I think it's just about there. Once we're at the level of where those houses are. Down to about a third again. We lost a little bit of speed because I think the pressure's dropped below a critical amount, so we need to put a bit back in. It'd be nice to lean back and see that gauge over there. And I can do it this way. Yeah, it's about 140. It's 150 now. That's why we're gaining speed again. Hill's flattening out a little bit, so about 6% now instead of 9. Coming up towards the top. Crested the hill. Time to back off the throttle a little bit. Pushing that down to about a quarter. I can hear some cows. Signal box up ahead. A lot of those old 1950s cars driving around. Reminds me of Postman Pat, apart from the colour. Yeah, I love it. Hope they make some more Steam DLCs. In fact, I think if I was to ask for a Steam DLC, clearly this one, the Jubilee, is pretty good given the time frame of the Platinum Jubilee in real life. But if I was Dovetail Sims, the next steamer that I'd make would probably be the Talakun Railway or the Chorus. That would be my my desire. Quite as famous as the other theme tune, but it's a little bit more appropriate given they're in a green engine. A little bit on the quick side, but I think we have a 90 zone coming up. There it is. So an increase in speed limit going uphill. That's how we go. His wheel's slipping a little bit. Come up to the next bridge, I think. Short platform. Okay, the hill's over. Going to go back to full throttle. Hopefully we don't wheel slip on the way. Haven't seen it yet. I suspect I'm going tomorrow afternoon. Look at that fire. Driving well. Gonna need to back down the regulator a little. It's kind of a weird negotiation as you go up the hill. You need to reduce the power so you don't get the wheel slip. As we come back to the flat and going downhill again, we can go to full power again. See how fast we're going there. Find a nice little open field here, out of noise. Moo. That's a bridge. Ah, cute little bridge. The express train. Miles to go. From this kind of speed we need about almost 2 miles to stop. About 1.5 miles or so, 1.5 miles. Little signal box. Roaring along at 80 mile an hour. And go to the next bridge. Blasting along. How's life in first class? We go back there? Load to first class, here we go, there's second. That's more like it. A bit more affordable back there. Yeah, pressure's doing pretty good. It's about 200-ish. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . needing to slow down soon. 2 miles out. Since we're going to be using the brake, I'm going to open up the injector. Get some air flowing back in those carriages. About 1.5 miles, we need to be at 20 miles an hour. Some yellows. Yeah, it's all brakes from here. If we do this right, we won't need to use anything except the brakes. Yeah, got a red light coming up. Other than that, Dave, hope you're well. I said if we did this right, I wouldn't need to use anything except the brakes. Well, brakes are off and I need to add a little bit more power there. And I'm going to bring that up to forward 50%. Coming into Crewe. On to platform 3. And hello there to Nat Dave. Hope you're well. It's a reasonably long train today, so we want to use most of the platform. Don't want to go past the red lights though. Cylinder cups are open. There we go, just make sure the back of the train is on a platform. It is. Welcome to Crewe, everyone. And the union says that's the end of our bit of the line. We get out of the train here and give the loco over to someone else. There we go. Not too bad. A little speeding over here. So I'm pretty happy with that. Nice little sim. Pretty cool. Get a couple of these little things too. Say training. Something to explore. Scenarios. Oh, yeah, training scenarios are pretty cool. Let's do the refueling. I found the refueling to be quite fun. You get to put some water in the tender and you get to fuel up the coal, then connect the train and then head out. So I might do that now. Wish they had that in the timetable scenarios though. Maybe go to Crewe and then refuel the train and come back.
Welcome to Speak Sidings. In this training module, we will learn how to refill the tender with water before coupling up to a set of freight wagons.
This isn't a Jubilee, this is a Stainer 8F, the freight train.
Water train where you will need to move the water hose over the rear of the locomotive tender. Now the hose is in position, climb up the tender and open the water hatch. Insert the hose into the tender tank once the water hatch is open. The hose is in and the tender tank is ready to be filled. Turn on the water and start filling the tender tank.
Filling the tender with some water.
The tender tank is now full. Turn off the water and bring the hose back towards the frame before closing the water.
Okay, back up here. Got that. Now we grab some coal.
Now we need to fill the tender with coal.
Brakes are off. And we need to move 2 yards backwards. Barely anything. Yeah, hey.
The locomotive is ready to go, but the points in front need switching. These points are manually controlled, so we'll have to leave the locomotive and walk to the points.
Since I know we're going forwards anyway. I'm lazy enough to go back where we came from, for driving it. Yeah, I'll come to a stop there.
Pull the junction lever to switch the direction of the points. The locomotive is now ready to move. Climb aboard the locomotive and drive it to the stop line.
No, I'm thinking of doing 146 with Milk Run. That'll be Monday night. Just need to do a couple of things to make sure I'm ready to fly it. This is a 280 locomotive, 8 driving wheels.
Point into the siding have been set forwards. Slowly reverse into the siding and stop in front of the wagons.
Massive freight yard here. Looking good. Coming back about 2 miles an hour.
The couples of the wagons climb down from the locomotive and walk to the rear of the tender.
Cool, can do.
The wagons are now coupled and the service is ready to start. Climb back aboard the locomotive and drive to the yard exit to finish this training module.
And we'll need the injector open to release the brakes. Brakes released. Bit of a wheel spin. Some of the clocks are closed. That's a lot of train behind us. Good to see a caboose back there. Might need to think about stopping. Definitely need to think about stopping. Red signal coming up.
Great work. That's everything for this training module.
Cool. Well, that is the Spirit of Steam in the timetable mode. Jubilee train. I think we'll do one more fan edit if I can. Don't know. Don't say I have it installed. Okay, never mind. Sure, I have it. Apparently not. That's okay. Anyhow, hope you enjoyed the stream there with our wonderful LMS Jubilee train. If you don't have it, that's what it looks like. Till next time, I'll have a music elevator, and I'll see you guys probably tomorrow for a flight sim stream. Till then though, bye for now.